Okay, I need to be sure that I'm being heard. Hi. It's my first time going on live on it's first time going on live on what's it called here. So let me be sure that I know what I'm doing. It's my first time going on live here, and I'm so excited about it. Although I'll be honest, I'm also nervous, and but I'm sure that everything will be fine. Okay, so let me be sure of my audio. Um, let me be sure of my audio. Um, let me be sure of my audio. Okay, it's fine. Hi, hello. My name is Hebziba, and you are absolutely welcome. So I'm going to be, like the title says, it's an in-depth study and analysis of the richest man in Babylon. I know how many of us will say, "Oh, I read this book. Oh, I know this book now. I know the book. I know the book," and then we've really never taken time to do an in-depth study of it. So, what this episode and series will be on would largely be an episode of explaining explaining what the book is about, and not just what the book is about. I have a copy here, and I know that there are different books. All right, my network was a bit all over the place. So I was saying I'm trying to share with other people so we can have more people join in the study. So I was saying that all right, we're back live again. It's my first episode, so I think for me, I'm just forgiving of myself of however this first episode goes, because the most important thing for me is that I'm able to start. So I would kick perfectionism in the hoods and send perfectionism away. So I will just go on and let's see how it is. So the book I will be talking about, from the title, you can already guess that it's an in-depth study of the richest man in Babylon. So it's our first episode, and in this first episode, I'll be diving straight into the richest man in Babylon. And my name is Hebziba. I'm super excited to have you here, and together we're going to be going into this. Now, for me, this is one of the most remarkable, interesting, and inspiring books on personal finance ever written. And it's interesting to just note that there are so many things that we will probably not get, or we will think that we will assume that, okay, because I've read the book at the time or the other, I learned it. But the reality is we have not learned those things. So I'll be reading from the book, and we're going to be learning. For me, one of the interesting things is the fact that it's things that are truth or principles are universal. That's the thing. So imagine that a book that was written in the 1970s something is still relevant up until now. And that just literally beats my mind. So let's go straight into the story or the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. I was thinking in my head that I'll be able to have maybe a screen or something. Again, I'm not even sure what copyright laws are involved, but I will just try my best. So let's start with the forward. Again, this is the book. I will see how I can link maybe an Amazon storefront where you can purchase your own copy of the book and we can enjoy the study together. So let's go in. From the forward, it says, our prosperity as a nation depends upon the personal financial prosperity of each of us as individuals. Now that sentence is deep. Again, remember, it's an in-depth study. So I'll be sharing my thoughts so that while you read, you're not just reading, but you're studying the book. Because again, many of us are just prone to reading without necessarily studying what we are reading. All right, so going into it, let me share again. Let me share the link with one or two people. Let's see if we can have more people join in in the session. All right, so it says our prosperity as a nation depends upon the personal financial prosperity of each of us as individuals. And that's so loaded because it's saying that for you to say a nation is prosperous, then it's citizens, it's individuals, the person in that city, the persons in that city must equally be what prosperous. So as much as you call it personal finance, eventually what we all call personal finance is on the long run the accumulation of personal finance is what is going to now determine the wealth of a nation or a community. Moving into the book, it says this book deals with the personal successes of each of us. Again, each of us. Success means accomplishment as the result of our own effort and abilities. Proper preparation is the key to our success. Our acts can be no wiser than our thoughts. Our thinking can be no wiser than our understanding. Let's break it down a little bit more. It says our acts. It says proper preparation. Proper preparation is the key to our success. That means you don't just stumble on success. You literally have to prepare for success. So success doesn't happen. It doesn't jump on you, because if it jumps on you, you might not be able to sustain it. You might not be able to keep it. And I mean, what's the point of success or being successful today and not being successful tomorrow? So going on, it says this book of cures for lean purses has been termed a guide to financial understanding. That indeed is its purpose, to offer those who are ambitious for financial success and insights that would aid them to acquire money, to keep money, and to make their surpluses earn more money. We need to note some of these words specifically. It says to acquire money, to keep money, and to make their surpluses earn more money. So it's not just enough to earn money, to acquire money. You need to be able to keep the money that you acquire. And not only should you be able to keep the money that you acquire, you need to be able to make that money make more money for you. Literally, like saying you need to be able to multiply the money that you make. In the pages which follow, we are taken back to Babylon, the cradle in which was nurtured the basic principles of finance, now recognized and used the world over. So Babylon was indeed that city. Babylon was the wealthiest city. It wasn't just wealthy because it was a city, it was wealthy because its citizens were wealthy. Now says, so it's taking us back to the city of Babylon, the country. I think it was the country, I'm not sure. But it was the place of Babylon. And from there we see, it says in the pages to new readers, the author is happy to extend the wishes that its pages may contain for some the inspiration for growing bank accounts, greater financial success, and the solution for difficult personal financial problems, so enthusiastically reported by readers from coast to coast. The reality is that this book has been a game changer for a lot of people. And part of what I'll be doing with this series is not just to read the book. There are quite a number of audio books online, but it's important that you don't just read the book, but you study the book. You understand what the book is really saying. And because the lines are so, sometimes some of these things are so fickle that we can easily read past them and not really get the meat of the matter. So we'll be coming in the study. I encourage you to use the chat box, share your thoughts on this as I read the book, and also share my thoughts. I'll be trying as much as possible to make it as financially insightful as possible, so that we can all learn and become better. So key things that's been stated in this forward is that, one, our prosperity as a nation depends on the personal financial prosperity of each of its individuals. As individuals, our prosperity as a nation, beyond being a nation, what's most important is that as individuals, we are also prosperous. That's the first key thing. The second key thing is that it also helps you to, the purpose of this book is to help you acquire money, to keep money, and to make the surplus earn more money. That's loaded. Like, I could literally talk about it for money tonight, on making money, keeping money, and then making that money, multiplying that money. And that's the crux of what this is about. So we're saying that in personal finance, you don't just make money. Yes, you learn how to make money both passively and actively. Then you also now learn how to manage that money. Budgeting comes into play. Budgeting comes into play. Self-denial, delayed gratification, all of those things come into play. And then you now talk about how you make that money earn more money, make that money compound, make that money bring in surplus for you. And that's just the forward. Like, it's so interesting for me. This is just still the forward, people. This is just the forward. Again, get the book. If you've read it before, it's a good time to go back and read it again. Don't just assume that, okay, I read this book. This is an in-depth study on it, because this money thing, we must hack it. It's by fire, by force. We must hack it. So it now goes on to say, still in the forward, it said that Babylon became the wealthiest city of the ancient world because its citizens were the wealthiest people of their time. Remember what I said? That, like the book said, our prosperity as a nation depends on the personal financial prosperity of each of its individuals. So Babylon as a city, it became wealthy because the citizens were wealthy people. So wherever you are, you can, if we have more than like half of our population becoming wealthy or financially literate, then we will have a wealthy nation. Really, that's how it works. If you go to America, I don't know so much of history, but my knowledge of history tells me that in America in those days, it was wealthy, what's it called? Sugarcane farmers, plantation owners that made the city what it is, And it says they appreciated the value of money. That's another thing we are noting, appreciating the value of money. Practice sound financial principles in acquiring money, again, keeping money, and making their money earn more money. They provided for themselves what all desire. And what do all desire? We all desire an income for the future, guys. When I was reading this, I'm like, okay, really, why are we working? We want to have, basically, really, the reason why we are doing all these things, because we want to have an income for the future. Again, put it in the chat box if you're getting value, if you're learning something. This forward, surprisingly, was done even by George C. Classen. That's GSC. Yes. So now let's go into the story. We've read the forward. Now let's go into the book itself. I like the fact that this particular copy has some thoughts, like keywords put somewhere there. It says, money is the medium by which earthly success is measured. So you cannot say that I don't need money. As much as we say, oh, money is the root of all evil, money is this, money is that. Again, money is the medium by which all earthly success is measured. Tell people you are a successful person or you are wealthy, they want to see your car. They want to see the house that you live in. They want to see what you are wearing. They want to see your business, So money is that medium by which earthly success is measured. It says, money makes possible the enjoyment of the best the earth affords. Money makes possible the enjoyment of the best the earth affords. Now, let me explain that. Because again, like I said, while I was reading this book, I realized that many of us, it's so easy for us to just glance through the book and, we just read it like we're reading. We're not doing a study. So this is really a study. Now, someone once said, people say money is the root of all evil, but really, people say money cannot buy you happiness, but said money can buy you things that will give you happiness or give you peace of mind. And that's how it is. Now says, okay, money is plentiful for those who understand the simple laws that govern its acquisition. So money is plentiful for those who understand the simple laws that govern its acquisition. So you will have money as long as you understand the simple laws that governs its acquisition. What are the simple laws? That's been mentioned. It's for you make money, you manage money, and you multiply money. Those are basically the three laws. These are like the sum total of the laws. Okay, it says money is governed today by the same laws which controlled it when prosperous men thronged the streets of Babylon 6,000 years ago. Now, this book was written in 1970. 1970 something. So if they tell us that it is still the same principles back then that are governing money now, my people, so it's still the same laws that control, the same laws that these prosperous men of Babylon applied those days. I was in someone's class over the weekend, and she was sharing how some things are just principles. In fact, it was while she was sharing that she mentioned The Richest Man in Babylon. And it occurred to me that I'd read this book like once or twice, but I'd never really done a study of the book. I should go back to some of these books. Some of these books we call ancient books. That's why years after these authors have written them, people still go back to them. They are like textbooks. They are blueprints. They are principles because they contain what? Principles. So let's go into it. It says, number one, the man who desired gold. For me, the first word I noted, three key words I noted was the man who desired and gold. So again, you know that when we say man, it could mean a male, it could mean a female. Say desired gold. So again, it comes to my mind that what does it mean to desire? Desire is to want something, to crave for something, to be determined to say, okay, against all odds, I really just want this thing. And then gold here refers to money. Again, we are doing an in-depth study, right? Okay, so let's go into the story straight up. It says, again, I had issues with pronouncing some of these names. I hope I would get them correctly though. Basil, the chariot builder of Babylon, was thoroughly discouraged. From his seat upon the low walls surrounding his property, he gazed sadly at his simple home and the open workshop in which stood a partially completed chariot. His wife, okay, this version is the simpler English version, so it's a lot easier to read, simpler to understand. His wife frequently appeared at the open door. Furtive glances in his direction reminded him that the meal bag was almost empty and he should be at work finishing the chariot, hammering and hewing, polishing and painting, stretching taut the leather over the wheel rims, preparing it for delivery so he could collect from his wealthy customer. Nevertheless, his fat, muscular body stood sturdily upon the wall. His slow mind was struggling patiently with a problem for which he could find no answer. The hot tropical sun, so typical of the valley of the Euphrates, beat down upon him mercilessly. Beads of perspiration formed upon his brow and trickled down unnoticed to lose themselves in the airy jungle of his chest. This is a very strong picture of a man that is asking himself. He's sitting down, he has work to do, but he's totally discouraged. And we need to know, that's what happens when you need to get something done or you are in dire need for money, and then it's almost like your brain shuts down because at some point you really don't even know what to do. You're thinking, what do I do? How can I? That was just that state that Basil was in. It now says that beyond his home tower the high terraced walls surrounding the king's palace. Nearby, cleaving the blue heavens, were the painted tower of the Temple of Bel. In the shadow of such grandeur was a simple home and many others far less neat and well cared for. Babylon was like this, a mixture of grandeur and squandor, of dazzling wealth and direst poverty, crowded together without plan or system within the protecting walls of the city. Guys, come on. You know what this just showed me is that in Babylon at that time, there were wealthy people, there were poor people, and they were all like literally in the same place. That's what it is. They were all in the same place. And it's how, like, you move from one step, you see a wealthy home, very big, flashy, luxurious home. You move to another step, and then you're seeing so poor houses. And you're wondering how these people are comfortable. These poor people are, like, in quotes, comfortable seeing other wealthy people around them. That was literally what it was. It says behind him, I didn't care to turn and look. The noisy chariots of the rich jostling and crowded around the saddled tradesmen, as well as the barefooted beggars. Each each even the rich were forced to turn into the gutters to clear the way for the long line of slave water carriers on the king's business, each bearing a heavy goat skin of water to be poured upon the hanging gardens. Now, the kings always have slaves. It was a sign of wealth and abundance, in those days. And so again, these kings were there. It was a sign of wealth and abundance in those days. And these kings were, the king's servants would carry waters, take the water to different places. But then Basil was too engrossed in his own problems to hear or heed the confused hub of the busy city. It was the unexpected tangling of the strings with a familiar line that aroused him from his reverie. He turned and looked into the sensitive, smiling face of his best friend Kobe, the musician. May the gods bless thee with great liberty, my good friend, began Kobe in an elaborate salute. Yet, it does appear that they have already been so generous, thou needest not to labor. I rejoice with thee in thy good fortune. More, I would even share it with thee. Pray, from thy purse, which must be boggling, else thou would be busy in your shop. Extract but 2 humble shekels, and lend them to me until after the noble men feast this night. Thou would not miss them when they return. If I had 2 shekels, Basil responded gloomily, to no one could I lend them, not even to you, my best of friends, for they would be my fortune, my entire fortune. No one lends his entire fortune, not even to his best friend. Oh God, I want to stop and start explaining a lot more. Again, it's a study, right? So when I saw this, okay, let's read a little more. It says, what? Exclaimed Kobe with genuine surprise. Thou art not 1 shekel in thy purse, yes, sit like a statue upon a wall. Why not complete this chariot? What else canst thou provide for thy noble appetite? This not like thee, my friend. Where is thy endless energy? Does something distress thee? Have the gods brought to thee troubles? Guys, let's get something. So, yeah, it's like when you're bothered about something. Here was Basil sitting down. He had work to do, but he was so engrossed in the thoughts of, am I always going to be like this? Will things always be like this for me? I don't know if you've ever been in that position before, but I know that I've been at that position in my life journey, my financial journey, where I'm just sitting and saying there has to be a miracle, there has to be a way. I cannot afford to be broke. I cannot afford to be poor. I cannot afford to be thinking of where my next meal is coming from. And that was the same thing that happened to Basil. He sat down there and he was just thinking. And it was so wrapped in his thoughts that, remember, our title is The Man Who Desired. He was so wrapped in his thought that even when his friend came, he wasn't just getting what his friend was saying. Hold on a bit. Let me check something. So even when his friend came, he wasn't just getting what his friend was saying. You know how you are in a deep thought and someone is coming and trying to gist with you and like, well, guy, don't gist with me. I'm busy. Yeah, I need to face my life. I need to face my future. And this was it. And his friend Kobe, the musician, was saying, you mean you don't have money and you're not working, and this is work for you to do. You're a very hard working person. So whatever is taking your peace, whatever is not making you rest, whatever is not making you do this work, it must be serious. And then his friend goes to say, oh guy, I need money. I need urgent 2K, because it was like two. So in Nigeria, we say this, I need urgent 2K thing. And here he asked for two shekels. Remember that I'm like, that means that urgent 2K is not, this is not the first time we're asking about urgent 2K. It's been in existence since. Urgent 2K has been a thing before now. That's what he meant. Anyway, urgent 2K for my non-Nigerian audience will mean that when you just need like maybe like $2 or £2, just something small that the person asking expects that you can do without the money. Okay, so he now says, so Kobe is now asking Basil, what, so does something distress thee? Are the gods brought to thee troubles? Because it's one thing like, this my guy is always very active, he's always happy. So what could be bothering him? Why is he not looking happy? What's the issue? Says, a torment from the gods it must be, Basil agreed. It began with a dream, a senseless dream, in which I thought I was a man of means. Means there, replace means with money. From my belt hung the handsome purse, every with coins. You know how you have money, good money, right? Okay. It says, there were shekels which I cast with careless freedom to the beggars. There were pieces of silver. All right, so my network is here and there. Okay, so let's just go on. I don't know where I stopped or where it cut me off from, but I will just go on. Let me just check again. All right, so he said that I feel there were shekels which I cast with careless freedom to the beggars. There were pieces of silver which I did buy, with which I did buy finery for my wife. Finery there means clothes, right? Finery for my wife. And whatever I did desire for myself. There were pieces of gold which made me feel assured of the future and unafraid to spend the silver. A glorious feeling of contentment was within me. You must not have known me for thy hard-working friends, nor would thou have known my wife. So free of wrinkles was her face, and shining with happiness. She was again the smiling maiden of our early married years, our early married days. A pleasant dream indeed, commented Kobe. But why should such pleasant feelings as it aroused turn thee into a gloom statue upon the wall? Let's hold on there. Did you see some of the things he mentioned that you can actually do with money? He said, number one, he said, it began with a dream, a senseless dream. I'm here to tell you that from this book here, I realize that sometimes when you want financial freedom, or you want to have that, you want to get better on your personal finance, some people are going to think that it's a senseless dream. It's going to look like a senseless dream from where you are coming from, because I mean, you might be coming from a home or where there hasn't been abundance, and then you are telling people, and they are thinking in their mind that how is it going to work? How is it going to be possible? And that's the same thing. Even to him, it felt like a senseless dream. There was this quote that somebody once shared. She said, your desire for wealth is not crazy. It's been put on your inside by God for a specific reason, guys. So don't think like, just like Basil was saying, he felt it was a senseless dream. He felt like, how much do I want here? Can I really achieve this financial independence? Can I even have this financial freedom? It felt like a senseless dream. But the thing for me was, in as much as it felt like a senseless dream, he was still dwelling on it. For example, she said he had silver, he could give money to beggars, he could buy fine clothes for his wife. These are part of the things we do with money, really, let's be honest. He says, whatever he desired for himself, there were pieces of gold that made him assured of the future. That's what happens when you have money, or when you are able to manage and multiply money. You're not scared of the future, and you're not afraid to spend, because you know that whatever you spend, you will get it back. I was listening to someone, he was sharing that he flies first class, and every time he's flying first class, it is his investments that pay for his first class trip, that he doesn't even have to pick from his capital. It's his investments that pay for what? That pay for his first class trips. That's it, because he's not worried about, I want to travel. He just needs to check into one of his investments. So he said he's not afraid to spend, and with that for him also comes contentment. And he said, you won't know me for thy hardworking friend. Now, something came to my mind when I read this, thy hardworking friend. It means that it's highly possible that you are hardworking and you are broke or you are poor. So hard work alone is not it. Right, guys? Hard work alone is not it. It says, "No would I have known that my wife, so free from wrinkles was her face, and smiling with happiness." Now let's break it down. So free from wrinkles. If you have good money, doing skincare will not be a problem. Guys, doing skincare will know what it will not be a problem. You can do skincare confidently without being bothered or anything. You're just going to do skincare. You're just going to be happy. You're going to smile. It says, and she shone with happiness. There's this joy, there's this happiness that comes from when you know that you have some money somewhere, or you are expecting some money that will come in. It's totally almost unexplainable. You cannot deny that joy. It's not, you know what I say, this joy that I have is, it cannot be denied. Nobody can take it away from you. That's what he's saying here. It can't be denied you. It can't be taken away from you, because it just radiates. I can't even, another thing is that you can't even pretend about it. It's just going to show. His friend now said, a pleasant dream, a pleasant dream indeed, commented Kobe. But why should such pleasant dreams, why should such pleasant feeling as it aroused thee turn thee into a gloom statue upon the wall? He says, why indeed? Because when I woke up and remembered how empty was my purse, a feeling of rebellion swept over me. Let us talk it over again. For as the sailors do say, we ride in the same boat, we too. See, now it says, as youngsters, we went together to the priest to learn wisdom. As young men, we shared each other's pleasures. As grown men, we have always been close friends. We have been contented subjects of our own kind. We have been satisfied to work long hours and spend our earnings freely. We have earned much coin in the years that have passed. Yet to know the joy that comes from wealth, we must dream about it. I need to stop here and talk because, guys, that's so deep, because they're not even finished saying what he's saying there. But let's look at it together. Because in my mind now, I'm even feeling sad for them because, guys. Anyway, look at what he said. He said, Kobe was like, why are you sad? He said, I am sad because I can only dream of this. When I wake up from my dream, my reality is not what my dream is different from my reality. That's one. Two, he now says, I was not telling his friend that now. He says, I woke up and remembered how empty was my purse. A feeling of rebellion swept over me. So it was literally sad, like, guys, I just have this dream. I mean, what's the point of having the dream? What's the point of having the dream without having a way to go through it? I'm going through this book, Richest Man in Babylon. Now says, as youngsters, we went together to the priest to learn wisdom. Now, so they'll be friends from young age, right? Same as all of us. You probably have friends or people around that you've been growing up together. You've known each other's in and out. It says, we have worked. We have learned to do something. We have earned much coin in the years that have passed. Yet to know the joy of what comes from wealth, you must dream about it. Let me talk a little bit about it. It says, we have earned more coin. We have enjoyed much coin in the years that have passed. Yet to know the joys that come from wealth, we must dream about it. And it means that, guys, hard work is not going to give you wealth. Hard work alone will not give you wealth. That's the truth. You know, I remember reading someone that said something about leveraging, that one of the key ways to wealth is you work and then you leverage on other people's strengths or other people's income or other people's expertise. So thinking that only you can jump, you're on the long thing. Anyway, we are hearing from the book. Again, it's a study, so we're looking at it, break down the sentences and all of that. Put it in the chat box if you have thoughts on it. I'll try and come to the chat box to read and take samples or get our thoughts. Anyway, he says, are we more than dumb sheep? We live in the wealthiest city in all the world. The travelers who say none equal to it in wealth. About us is much display of wealth, but of it we ourselves have nothing. After half a lifetime of hard labor, thou my best friend, thou my best of friends, out an empty purse and said to me, may I borrow such a trifle as 2 shekels until after the nobleman's feast this night? Then what do I reply? Says, do I say, here's my purse, its content I gladly share? No, I admit that my purse is as empty as thine. What is the matter? Why can't we acquire silver and gold, more than enough for food and robes? Now that sounds like rhyme. Why can't we acquire silver and gold, more than enough for food and robes? Right? Okay, so now here it means that it's possible to be acquiring money. Again, silver and gold here refers to money. It's possible to be making money. We are making just enough for food and robes and not making enough to be able to save or to invest. So it means that I don't want to jump ahead of myself, because that could actually mean that let me not jump ahead of myself. But he said something. He said, so we are friends like this. We live in the wealthiest city, but yet we cannot boast of money. And then my challenge when I started reading, I'm like, okay, so what happens to the person who doesn't live in the wealthiest city? And I realized that in every city there's wealth. You need to now ask yourself that the wealth in this city, how am I going to be able to partake of this wealth? Because he said of Babylon, says it's the wealthiest city. I remember when we said that he said at the beginning, he said a wealthy city is made up of wealthy men. We say Nigeria, for instance, we say Nigeria, we are blessed, we are this, we are that, we have natural resources, and the citizens are poor. It's because we don't have enough wealthy men. So I needed to just chip that in. Going forward again, this is the book. It says, consider also our sons, Basil continued. Are they not following in the footsteps of their fathers? Need they and their families and their sons and their sons' family live all their lives in the midst of such treasuries of gold, yet like us, be content to banquet under sour goat's milk and porridge? Let me say something here. It's a study, right? When I read this, when he said our sons, it occurred to me that Basil and Kobe at this age were in their late 50s. Let's say they got married early, right? Maybe their early 50s. They couldn't be less than 50s, because they talked about their sons and their family. So we can say that they were probably grandparents. And for all these years, for 50 plus years, they have been laboring under the same weight. And even their sons. So I imagine that Basil here was a carver. We know that he was it carver or woodwork? He was working on chariots. So I can imagine that his son is probably learning the same skill, and they're all at that same point. And now Basil is coming to say, you know what? Are we going to continue like this? Even our sons, this is what they have. And it comes to me that the decisions you make in your 30s, in your 20s, decisions you make as a parent will come back to your children. So you have to be making decisions, not just for yourself, but for your generation. I like to say that even if you're not from a wealthy home, make sure that a wealthy home comes from you. And I think that as parents or budding parents, we owe it to our children. Even if you don't want to have children, it's fine even if you want to have children. But you have nieces. You cannot be a lone ranger. You're going to have family. If you are from Africa, like we are, like I am, we are rooted in family. It's a family kind of system. See him here saying that even in the midst of plenty, he was still struggling. And I think that if we take a reflection, a number of us are like that at some point, or we're like that at some point in our personal finance, that everybody seems to be having all the money, traveling, doing this, buying that, and then you're still struggling. But the good thing is, this is a cure for a limp purse. So we're all learning together. Okay, it now says, Kobe was puzzled. Never in all the years of our friendship didst thou talk like this before, Basil. Never in all these years did I think like this before. Stop. think. So it came to me that your thoughts are important. Sometimes you have to think your way out of breakthrough. You need to think your way to your next level. What are you thinking about? Are you thinking that, oh, I can't be more? See a 50-year-old plus man, all these years never thought of the fact that he lived in abundance until he had a seemingly stupid dream. Also, he now started thinking on that dream and saying, this dream I even had there. Let me even open my eyes. How many, what do I have around me? So he says, never in all these years did I think like this. From early dawn until darkness stopped me, I've labored to build the finest chariot any man can make. Soft heartedly hoping someday the gods will recognize my worthy deeds and bestow upon me great prosperity. This they have never done. At last, I realize this they will never do. Therefore, my heart is sad. I wish to be a man of means. I wish to own lands and cattle, to have fine robes and coin in my purse. I am willing to work for all this with the strength on my back, with all the skill in my hand, with all the cunning in my mind. But I wish my labors will be fairly rewarded. What is the matter? What is the matter with us? Again, I ask you, why can't we have just share of the good things, so plentiful for those who have the gold with which to buy them? And I think that for people, particularly people that were not born into wealth, married into wealth, that are just trying to get their feet together, every man has to come to this point of decision of saying, I work hard. And the fact that when he said, even but it won't happen by stroke of luck, really. Even if it's going to happen by stroke of luck, your level of preparedness is important. And this explains why people that win the lottery, people that win lotteries, or people that maybe gamble and win, very few, like less than 10% of them make good use of that money after, because they feel like it's free money, it's cheap money, and then they squander it. But every man, I also like something he said here, something Basil said. He didn't just say, oh, I want to be rich. He was specific. He said, I want to be a man of means. So I'm saying I want to be a man that has money. Not just to have money. Now says, I want to own lands. I want to own cattle. I want to have fine robes and coin in my purse. Can you see? So it means that even when you're saying you need money, how much money do you think you really need? You're saying you want to earn more. How much more do you really want to earn? I remember one time I was speaking with my coach and I was sharing with him, one day I'll still share my story up on here. I was sharing with him how I was, I was in a financial rut, and I was, and I was telling him, so I need money. And he said, take a piece of paper, a book, and write, how much money do you really need? Because he said sometimes if you don't sit down and look at it, how much do you spend? How much do you want to save? How much do you want to have in investment? How much money do you really need? Because if you don't know how much, you have to be specific, like be that specific. Again, it's personal finance. You have to be what? Be that specific. We're learning from the richest man in Babylon. Okay, so it says, says he's willing to work for this thing with all his back, but he wishes that his labor will be fairly rewarded. So that means that, again, hard work is never enough. In the game of financial independence, hard work is not enough. Hard work is not enough. Skill is not enough. Hard work is not enough. Skill is not enough. Put it in the chat box if you've been getting value, or if you've been learning one or two things from this. I need to drink water. So this is not a publicity for the water company, but all right. So would I have known an answer? Kobe replied, no better than thou am I satisfied. My earnings for my lie are quickly gone. Often must I plan and scheme often must I plan and scheme that my family be not hungry. Also, within my breast is a deep longing for a lie large enough that it may truly sing the strains of music that do surge through my mind. With such instruments, could I make music finer than even the king had heard? Such a lie thou shouldest have. No man in all Babylon could make it swing more sweetly, could make it swing so sweetly. No, not only the king, but the gods themselves will be delighted. But how mayest thou secure it when we both are as poor as the king's slaves? Listen to the bell, hear the come. He pointed to the long column of half-naked, sweaty water-bearers plodding laboriously up the narrow street of the river. 5 amidst them marched, each bent under a heavy goat skin of water. Let's break it down. Let's break it down again. He says, so Kobe is saying, oh, you'd like to have a bigger lyre. A lyre is a musical instrument. I think it looks like a guitar, but I'm not very sure. But I know it's in that string instruments category. And he was saying that he'd love to have a bigger one so that he can make more music, but he didn't even have the money. Look at what Basil said. Basil said, even I myself, what did he say? He says, where is it? Even I myself, I wish I had the money, but I couldn't help. I don't even have the money. I can't help you. And that for me comes to the fact that community. What community are you keeping around you? Because in this game or this desire for financial freedom, financial literacy, you need to keep a community around you that you're probably all going together, or a community around you that can help you grow. It is totally non-negotiable. Anyway, he says, and look at him now, he wants to make more music, make better music, but he doesn't even have the equipment, he doesn't have the instrument to make better music. And that's it. Money is an enabler, because when you do not have funds for some of the things that you want, you will not be able to do those things. You will not be enabled to do or to pursue or go after your heart desire. I wish I tell people that money is, it's important to have it. It might not buy you happiness, but it can buy you the things that will bring you happiness. Going back into the book, it says, a fine figure of a man who thus leaded them. Kobe indicated the bearer of the bell who marched in front without a load. A prominent man in his own country, it's easy to see. So you know how they are slaves and there's a slave owner that is leading them. That was just what happened. There are many good figures in the line, Basil agreed, as good men as we. Tall blonde men from the north, laughing black men from the south, little brown men from the nearer countries, all marched together for the river to garden, back and forth, day after day, year after year, nights of happiness to look forward, beds of straw upon which to sleep, hard grain porridge to eat, pity the poor brute, Kobe. Now that's another thing. Sometimes you are at a stage and you feel like, okay, I think I have it better than some people. And this is usually what it was. But it comes to the fact that what really do you want? What really do you want? Now says, pity them I do, yet thou dost make me see how little better off we are. Free men though we call ourselves. That's it. He looked at this man and felt like, oh, but literally what Basil was saying here that was that both we and this man were usually earning like the same amount of money. They just have it a little better because they are slaves and we are not slaves, but really we're almost living at the same level. Now says that's true, Kobe. Unpleasant thoughts though it be. We do not wish to go on year after year, living slavish lives, working, going nowhere. Might we not find out how others acquire gold and do as they do? Before I go into that, it says working, going nowhere. I mean, working, going nowhere. They have been working all these years and they had nothing to show for it. Again, I'm reading from this book. It's a reading and a study. And that's it. Sometimes you can be working and working and working, and you have nothing to show for it. One of my favorite coaches shared, finance coach shared that she's an accountant, and that while she was working sometimes like 15 years ago, she was earning over 500,000. And there was a secretary in the office that was earning 50,000 naira. And then one day, the secretary comes to tell her that, oh, she was traveling out of the country and needed her as the boss for a referee. And she was like, do you have money? Long story, when the secretary, when this clerk came with a bank statement, she was shocked. And she said what that clerk had in a bank was more than what she had. And yet she was the boss, she was earning more. So she was forced to ask her that, how are you doing? Now said, oh ma, I do mutual funds, and I've been putting a portion of my salary aside every month consistently for how many years. And yet here was someone who was earning more that did not even have a 1 month salary saved up somewhere. But the good thing is, whenever you wake up is your morning. Whenever you wake up is your morning. Says, look at what Kobe now said. There's a problem, we need a solution. So Kobe goes ahead and says, might we not find out how others acquire gold and do as they do? Kobe inquired. For me, the first thing that came to my mind was the fact that there's something that other people do to acquire wealth, and you have to do it to acquire wealth as well. There are principles guiding these things. There are principles that will keep you poor. There are principles that will keep you wealthy. There are principles that will help your finances. You need to find them, and you need to do them. And the good thing is, you're finding them in the book. You're finding them by subscribing to my channel and learning. Yes. So it goes on to say that he says, perhaps there are some secrets in my learn if we but sought from those who knew, replied Basil thoughtfully. Remember, Kobe first said they needed to learn, and he said, yes, there must be some secrets that we need to learn. He says, this very day, suggested Kobe, I did pass by our old friend Akkad, riding in his golden chariots. This I will say, he did not look over my humble head, as many in his station might consider is right. Instead, he did wave his hand, that onlookers may see him pay greetings and bestow his smell of friendship upon Kobe, the musician. Now let's look at something. He said this Basil Akkad was their friend. So imagine that there are people from the same secondary school, or the same yard, or the same own boys. And here are they, one of them has become a big man. And they are wondering that. But anyway, we'll still go into the story of Akkad, right? But I left one particular place. He said that Akkad was humble enough. He greeted him. So another thing is that with wealth, you also have to acquire humility. For me, we're picking lessons, right? So humility. The humility of Akkad made his friends say, okay, we want to go and learn from him. Are you humble? We're learning, right? So he's a study. Anyway, he says he's claimed to be the richest man in Babylon, Basil mused. So rich, the king is said to seek his golden aid in affairs of the treasury. Let me break it down. Let me read it again. It says, so rich, the king is said to seek his golden aid in affairs of the treasury. Kobe replied. Let's break it down. Golden aid means money. Affairs of the treasury is money. So it shows that the king was borrowing money from Akkad. I have good news for you, because when you gain financial knowledge, you can also borrow money to the king. You can borrow money to kings, to people in government. That means there's something they call bonds. Bonds are like you're borrowing the government money. There are corporate bonds, there are government bonds. But government bonds, you're borrowing, there are euro bonds too. Government bonds, you are borrowing your country money. So it means that as far back as 1970 something, bonds have been in existence. I like to tell people that when the good book says you will lend to nations, it was actually referring to bonds, because you can be in wherever country you are and invest in euro bonds. You are lending to nations. You can even lend the bond. You can take bonds for this country that you are in if you are a citizen, right? So it's beautiful. It's been happening since ages. So Akkad wasn't just rich; he was lending towards to the king. He now said, "So rich," Basil interrupted, "I fear if I should meet him in the darkness of the night, I should lay my hand upon his fat wallet." "Nonsense," reproved Kobe. "A man's wealth is not in the purse he carries." When I read that part, I'm like, yeah. So you think that because someone is carrying a purse and you now take his purse? No, you haven't taken all his money, because his wealth is not what in the purse that he carries. He says, "A fat purse quickly empties itself if there be no golden stream to refill it." That golden stream is your income. Is what is your income. So it means you're also saying, you know what? I must be earning good income. I must be earning income what consistently. So imagine you are earning like one from 2 or 3 income sources. By the time you spend one, and you are thinking that the money has finished, another one has entered. Guys, this is interesting. I remember one time I received my dividend. I wasn't expecting money that day, to be honest. I wasn't expecting. Although I knew that the stocks were paying dividend, but I just somehow did not pay attention to the date. My phone just, you know, that alert, that it just entered, and I'm like, wow, this is good. So really, that's it. A fat purse quickly empties if there be no golden stream to refill it. So note that if there be no golden stream to refill it. It says, Akkad had an income that constantly keeps his purse full, no matter how liberally he spends it. He has an income that keeps his purse full, no matter how liberally he spends it. I want us to finish this chapter, just about a page and a half left. So before we end the stream, okay, he says, "Income, that is the thing," ejaculated Basil. "I wish an income that keeps flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon the walls or travel to far lands." Can you see that passive income? Remote work has been in existence since 1970 something. He says, I wish an income that keeps flowing into my purse, whether I sit upon the walls." So that means whether I'm around or I travel, I'm still making income. And that's passive income, that's remote work, that's dividend. So he doesn't have to do the work again. Akkad must know how a man can make an income for himself. Does that suppose it's something he could make clear to a mind as slow as mine? Methinks he did teach his knowledge to his son. "No, Monsieur," Kobe responded. "Did he not go to Nineveh and said it? And so it is said at the inn, because without aid from his father, he became one of the richest man in that city." Remember when we talked about Basil and Kobe's sons wrecking in poverty? And then Akkad here built his son, gave him financial principles, because they are principles. No matter who tries them, they will work. Whether you're a believer or not, you're an atheist, whatever tribe you belong to, it will work. So here we can see that what I said about parenting, even the parental influence rubbing off on their son. So it's not enough to actually learn how to make money, or as you're making money, you must learn how to keep that money. You must teach your children to manage money and then also multiply. But then how do you teach them if you don't know it? So it's important that we're teaching them, we're learning, and we're improving on whatever things that we know. Moving on, again, this is the book. Moving on, it says, "Kobe, thou bringest me a rare thought." A new light beamed in Basil's eyes. It cost nothing to ask wise advice from a good friend, and Akkad was always that. Never minding, though our purse were as empty as the falcon's nest of a year ago, let that not detain us. We are weary of being without gold in the midst of plenty. I needed to underline this in my own book. It says, so now it says, let's ask. And I tell people that in this age and time, the only thing that you cannot, ignorance is no longer an excuse. I mean, you have a YouTube video like this, you have tons of YouTube videos you can learn from, you have tons of resources on Google that you can learn from. You pop into any social media these days, you would find knowledge, you find resources that you can learn from, as long as you're willing to learn. If you check around you, there are people, there are books. This is a book from the 1970s that you can read and learn. These are timeless principles. So the same thing says we must learn. They realized that the first thing they had to do was what? Learn. So I would say that desire is never enough. It's not enough that you desire something. You have to now go beyond that desire. Remember, the title of this particular chapter is The Man Who Desired Gold. So he had the dream. He's having a conversation with his friend, and his friend is saying, yes, we have this desire. We have to now take action. Take action. In your personal finance, we are all in different journeys in our finances. We know where we are, but you need to get to a point where you sit down and do an estimation and say, really, where am I? How far have I gone? We all have to get to that point. Sit down and ask yourself, where am I? What can I do better? How can I improve on my finance? How can I improve what I already have? Until you really get to that point, really, you're not going nowhere. It now says, we are weary of being without gold in the midst of plenty. So it is possible that there's plenty around you and you are broke. But until you wake up and say, you know what, I'm tired. I remember one time I was in debt. We were so deep in debt. It was depressing. It was devastating. We had to get to that point where we said, you know what, we no longer want this kind of life. We want a change. Again, it is personal finance. So it is personal to you. It is what's personal to you. It says, we wish to become men of means. Again, be specific about what you want. Do you want gold? Do you want silver? Do you want to have good money? Do you want to have recurring income, like multiple streams of income? It says, come, let's go to Akkad and ask how we also may acquire income for ourselves. So you need to ask, you need to search, you need to search, you need to search to get. It says, thou speakest with true inspiration, Basil. Thou bringest to my mind a new understanding. Thou makest me to realize the reason why we never found any measure of wealth. We never sought it. Guys, I feel like shouting. I feel like shouting. It says we never sought it. So it means that, somebody once made a post and he shared on how people become wealthy. He said for some people, they are born into wealth. Some, they marry into wealth. And then some, they have to maybe get a job or do a business and become wealthy. But you know that for those who aren't born into wealth or didn't marry into wealth, they have to seek the knowledge on how to, on wealth, on how to build wealth. They have to seek the knowledge. You can't deceive yourself. I mean, like you say, it's personal finance. You need to seek it. See what it's saying in this ancient book. We never sought it. They have been working for 50-something years. But they did not think that they needed to search for it. They never sought it. We never sought it. It says, thou hast labored patiently to build the stoutest chariot in Babylon. To that purpose was devoted our best endeavor. Therefore, as thou didn't succeed, I strove to, as thou didst succeed, I strove to become a skillful light player, and at it I did succeed. In these things towards which we exert our best endeavors, we succeeded. The gods were content to let us continue thus. Now at night we see light break from the rising sun. It bidded us to learn more that we may prosper more. With a new understanding, we find honorable ways to accomplish our desire. Let us go to Akkad this very day. Basil urged. Also, Let us ask our other friends of our boyhood days who have fared no better than themselves to join us, that they too may share in his wisdom. That thou hast always been thoughtful of thy friends, Basil. Therefore, thou art many friends. It shall be that thou see it. We go this day and we take them with us. Guys, I've come to the end of this chapter for today. Oh, you know some of the things here. He said that oh, you know what? Gosh, one of the things I've discovered is skill is never enough. You can have all the skill in the world in terms of knowing how to get something done. But if you don't have financial skill, financial literacy, you are going to waste it. And, or yes, you will waste. What I mean waste it, I mean you waste the resources. So guys, it's been an interesting and insightful study for me. This is just the first chapter. I hope you learned something. And I look forward to our next episode. Then we'll be going to the next chapter. This first chapter has been the man who desired gold. What do you desire? What do you desire? What you desire is important. I think it was in Think and Grow Rich. One of the very first laws in Think and Grow Rich is desire. You need to desire it. What do you desire? What's that one thing that you desire? You really want that thing. And you don't just, it cannot be generic. Don't be generic about it. Be specific. Basil was saying here, he said, desire to have money, desire to have clothes, desire to have cars, so desire to have houses. Be specific about those things that you desire and seek knowledge. That's the crux, that's the summary of chapter 1. The man who desired gold, saying, don't just desire it. Your dreams are valid. Your desire for wealth is valid. But beyond the validity of that, you need to work. You need to search. You need to acquire knowledge. And you need to do. There's something that worldly people do. You need to learn those things that they do. And you need to do them. So guys, on this note, I'll see you again in the next live. I'm hoping that I can do this maybe tomorrow or the next day, the day after tomorrow. I hope so. I'll work my schedule, but I told myself I needed to get this thing kicking and starting. So if you walk up to here, remember to share with your friends and let other people join. I am sure that by the next 2-3 episodes, I'll be more specific as to what time I will come on live, and then you can see watch the replay. So I see you again in the next episode. Keep reading, go back and read the chapter 1 again, and listen to the study, come up with your thoughts, let it immerse yourself in the book, and we'll have this conversation again. God bless you. Hey, the next problem I have here is now how to stop this thing. How do you stop it? Okay, let's see. Oh, I was supposed to even check if I had chats. Okay.